Hello everybody, welcome to this channel. I am Kay, and for this video is going to be me reviewing 6 recent videos that I've watched actually since last week, and I have gained certain insights from this cross-disciplinary interaction within myself because of these 6 YouTube videos. And I'm not gonna edit this video because ain't nobody got time for that. So please go with the flow with me that I would link the videos in the description box below so you can go check out all the videos on your own time. They're very interesting and of different disciplines. It involves history and also money, accounting, and also AI and politics. Okay, it goes back even to Marie Antoinette. So it's pretty diverse. Okay, it's a nice repertoire of videos of different diversity. Which I very much enjoyed, and so I would love to share with everyone here because I'm the kind of person that I go through a lot of information on a daily basis so I would have this information integrated within myself, but if I don't share it, basically it would just be integrated within myself and I would forget sharing it. So that's why I think to myself that okay, why not I just share this as a video, commenting on each video that I watched, that I picked it out as these six videos, and have everyone in a vibe and brainstorm together. So the title, as the title says, what I learned about world economy, politics, and AI from 6 YouTube videos. And here we go. Okay, so I'm gonna go by, it's not that I'm gonna put the first one, second one because it's more important. No, it doesn't go in this order, okay? It's not like in priority order, it's just what it is. So the first one, as you would see in the description box, okay, it's gonna be the same order. The first one that I am gonna comment on here is a video that I actually watched last night. Okay, last night is from the channel called Gary's Economics. It is a rather short video, it's 50 minutes, and the title is called The Games and Strategy of Rich People, What I Learned at Citibank. And his cover picture of the video thumbnail is like truth, lies, and games. Deception, like it sounds like that. But to me, what I learned from this video is mainly about world economy and politics, right? If I have to refer back to the title that I set out. It's very interesting because what he shared in this video is that he worked at Citibank for quite some years in his own career, and what he realized from his own experience is that when his interaction with the senior management of that company, and that really kind of traumatized him because of how cold and calculating and to a certain extent with sociopathic behaviors that he witnessed would traumatize him so much. And what he expressed here is that in his video, that the rich people, from his point of view, they don't care. They don't care about honesty, and they don't care about if they're actually speaking the truth, as well as if they can actually carry out what they promised to the crowd. This is what he personally witnessed and went through during his career at Citibank. And he also mentioned that it is because of this reason that he witnessed how these people of senior management could switch from a total tyrannical boss when switched to another Zoom call, like just right after the Zoom call that he finished with him, they went into another Zoom call. Right after that, he could turn into kind of like a cuddly bear kind of vibe to other the new set of people in the next Zoom call. Like he saw this, and it would really kind of like mess up his mind, psychologically. Like, how could a person suddenly switch from this to this? And it's really troubling, okay, for him. And yeah, he actually mentioned how the rich people don't care how the poor are. All they care is win. Like, if they can win and they can strategize to get what they want. Like, it's basically what I felt from that particular video. And that they would not really align to what they set out to, promising or like talking about anything. And he actually gave out the example of, it is because of his experience at this Citibank, his career, that previously he already knew how these people play these kind of games. And that is why when Trump behaves in any such and such ways, he was not surprised. That's what he said, because he has seen enough, and he's seen a lot of this happening at Citibank, and so he knew how the rich people play. It's all about kind of like dominating the other person and just strategizing to gain what they want, in a way. Okay, so that is the summary of the video, of what I understood from his perspective. Now, what I learned, my personal perspective on this is that it is a game. It is a game. It really is a game when it comes to money. Money is a game. It is a game only. And that's exactly what I'm going to keep repeating. Money is a game, and it really depends on if you want to play it or not. The fact that a game can be so huge that if you can associate it with the game that we call Monopoly, okay, like as in the game, the actual board game that we can play, Monopoly is simply how a certain group of individuals love playing this kind of game, so much so that they realize that if only they play within themselves, it's not going to be a long-term thing. They can't run on forever. So if to have this game goes on, to which these individuals love to play, they have to add in other participants so to have this game running. And these participants, they don't necessarily want to play the game, but they would then kind of be dragged into the game because of resources, because they need the resources to survive. That is actually the basic necessities. And when these individuals, these participants, okay, who don't necessarily want to participate, but they have to be forced to participate, because if not, they are an outcast, then they are also not playing by the rules. And these kind of rules are actually only set up by those who play the game, okay? There are actually there's no such rules, only because if they want to make this game long-term, meaning it's called the game of domination, they have to make this game into a more widespread thing, right? They have to have somebody or some people to play the inferior. Only then they can have this game going on because they can be the superior. And this game is the money game. And so it is simply a game how it's set up and how it's thus been playing out in this way. It is the way it is. It's simply a game. And a lot of people try to go against this game, try to play spy or try to merge. Some don't really play spy. Some just want to merge, into that mindset of the rich. I mean, as referring to this kind of rich people that this guy is referring here, because he's kind of like demonizing the rich people in a way, but I don't, okay? I personally don't. I just see rich people as, rich people is okay. Wealth is wealth, but it doesn't really define a person's integrity, okay? Rich people can also have really high standard of integrity. So I'm not judging any of them. It's just that referring to the context that this person is giving out here. Gary, yes, Gary, because it's Gary's Economics. I would say is a money game that has become a very ingrained structure in the world economy and also in politics. That is why it seems so hard for many individuals, or say participants, actually, the participants, having such a hard time and difficulty to wrap their head around, like, why am I keep working like a slave? Why am I keep, hustling, like just going on? And is it because of my fate? Is it because of anything like this? Okay, well, not necessarily. It's just because of how the game is set up. So to me personally, the way to actually exit the game is to exit the game, just not playing it. And that's also what that guy mentioned in his video. That is just basically, don't play the game. Just don't play it. Just don't play it. And that's also, I do share such a similar point of view as he does. But on top of that, how I also see it is, don't play their game. Don't play their game. Like, play your own game. That's it. Exit that game and start your own game. Play the game, meaning your own life. That's what I'm trying to say. Start your own game. Not to dominate over other people. Because, see, a lot of the things happening now, you see one party trying to, combat the other one, and then the other one back and forth. And all the time it's just that one party would be saying how bad the other party is, and then again back and forth. It's not gonna end, because they are both in the game. They are actually playing the game. And a lot of the participants, say the commoners, they are literally, I'm gonna put it straight, like, it's slaves. It's a slave system, and it's just how it's set up. Actually, not just recently. It's been a long time since any civilization or any kind of culture that has the system of slavery. That is the same thing. It's just we are now in a different era, in a different context, and thus manifested in a different way. Is exactly the same thing. So the only way to really free oneself is to exit playing that game and start your own game. Not to change that game, the previous game, but just to build something of your own. Build something that you find meaningful, that is of positivity, and to help others as well as helping yourself. It's a mutual thing. It's like equal give and take. That's what I That's what I would like to share here on top of what I learned from this video. Okay, now let's go into the second video. This one is fun. Now we're going to the Renaissance. Now we're going from the modern day to the Renaissance. But it's not different. There's no difference whatsoever. Even if it's how many years ago? 500? Around, I think. 400, 500 years ago, okay? Now, this channel is super cool. They have really amazing content, and I love watching their podcast. I actually discovered this channel like a week ago, and I have been enjoying a lot of the episodes. It's called The Rest is History. They are so funny. They are so funny. I think it's Dominic and Tom. Dominic and Tom, they are English. Super funny. And the fact that Tom always uses the word fascinating, and it got me kind of like, it got into my mind, like, fascinating. It's just so, what's so fascinating is that, okay, but okay, let's get back to the topic. So these particular episode, actually I would mention 3 episodes here on this list. So this is one of them, one of the videos that I would mention. It's called The Godfather of the Renaissance, How Cosimo de' Medici Took Over Florence. The thumbnail says, how a banker took over Florence, because Cosimo de' Medici, the Medici family, they are not a noble family originally. They're not aristocrat. They were, they came from the north. And I think possibly somewhere around Turkey, like that area, and then they kind of like migrated to Florence before the Renaissance. Okay, so, and they were not wealthy initially, but they made themselves wealthy, okay, like over the century, 2 centuries, I guess. Almost 2 centuries. It's really powerful. They became really powerful political figures, and they became really, really wealthy merchants because of banking. Okay. Now, this video is not on its own. I think all of the videos that I'm gonna comment on here, they are not separate from each other, really. They are all kind of cross-disciplinary learning experiences for us to see into the current situation of the world. So please share your insight if you happen to have any along the flow of this video, okay? So comment below. I would love to see your comments. And now, the Medici family, they started off with banking, right? And how they grew into power, of course, it involved a lot of strategies. So now, linking back to the first video that we just talked about, the games and strategy of rich people. So see, it's all over history. It's all over human history, in the Renaissance, even in Mesopotamia. Yes, even in Mesopotamia, it all started early on. So it's not new. Whatever we're experiencing now is not new. We can always trace back in history, and we can learn from that. That's the main thing, right? We can all learn from history. So the Medici family, they were basically the monopoly in the Renaissance. They have really huge connections with the church, right? The popes. And they also had really great network when it comes to resources. They also have great networks for allies. So what does this mean when these kind of families or they have such great networks? It's like the tentacles, right? They go into different places, and they hold a lot of estates, real estates like land, and also expensive minerals like the mines, okay, the mines. And they also have access to the politics. What's very interesting, what I learned from here, this 1 hour kind of podcast, is that there's one thing that's pretty interesting. If at that time, if they are aristocratic, people who were aristocratic at the time, they could not join politics. Like, they could not participate in politics. And however, it's really funny to me. It's really funny because at the end of this series, the Medici family, so this is only the first one, the Medici family. And there, I also watched the second and the third episode in this series, the Medici series. It's really interesting because they didn't start off as aristocrats, nobility. But at the very end of their reign, I would say the reign, okay, in a way, even though they are not actually a monarchy. But it's just that reign, their influence, they really want to become aristocrat, and they did. They want themselves to be put on a princely state, like a princely status. And at the same time, they could rule. So I think it's really interesting how the human psychology works. Is because you already have so much wealth and such, but you also still want to have the titles. What I'm trying to say here is humans never get enough if they are not conscious of what they actually truly need. It's an addiction. It gets addictive. If you keep chasing something and you are unconscious of what you truly need, it means that we can never be joyful, we can never be satisfied, only if we recognize what we truly need. Only when we recognize what we truly need. And so, see, their expansion since Cosimo de' Medici to Lorenzo de' Medici, and then to the Cosimo the First, the Medici, it goes on for like around four generations from Cosimo de' Medici. Okay, went on from there. They went through massive expansion, their wealth and their influence, but it's like as if they could never get enough of it until the fall of it, because they had to fall. It's like a natural thing that would cause them to fall, and this is literally the cycle of life. Anything that came into birth would have to die eventually, and so to rebirth into something else. But a lot of the time, humans just want to divide the stars. I divide you stars, like in Shakespeare, right? And they just don't want to go with the natural flow of the cycle of life. And that really troubles a lot of people, because they try to control, they try to make things that they want the way that they want, and in this kind of process of controlling would cause a lot of exploitation for other people, aka the participants in the money game. So I mean, we can see from all this how they took over Florence. Again, is the same old story, that how they try to sabotage the other side, the other party, just as how we see in the political setting in the current world, right? And yeah, and now that is more about the human psychoanalysis in a way, and also the politics within this kind of, high powerful people setting, like power dynamics, power game, right? But if we see into the world, if we want to see into the world economy through this lens, as in how their networks could have the tentacles spread out in such a way, it's actually the same as how now currently, not even just now, think of colonization, think of Britain, how they colonize India, how they colonize all other places in the world just to get the resources. And it's exactly the same thing what the Medici family did, right? It's just a matter of technology. It's just a matter of technology. At the time, it was not. They were not able to make it happen in a big scale because of technology not able to catch up yet. And when technology could, that would go, that would then turn into colonization, and that's the age of discovery, right? Like how certain European countries would go abroad, overseas, to colonize other places in Asia, in Africa. So it really it's really a cycle. The story recycles again and again and again since a long time ago in human history. If we don't look at just Renaissance, we can see how back in the ancient time, what Romans did to the Greeks, right? And then what the Greeks did to the Egyptians. Come on, it's the same thing. One wants to overthrow the other one, and the reason that they wanted to overthrow is because you're very oppressing. You like, it's like, I am taking over your power because you are weak now, but you have been exerting so much control over us, and so now we have to take you off the stage, and now we are going onto the stage. It usually started as kind of like a grand mission, kind of intent, right? But then it usually would turn into more of a selfish outcome. It usually would turn into this if one is not unconscious, if one is not conscious with one's own actions along the way. Like, am I actually aligned to what I set out to want to be, or what I want to do? It is really about self-assessment and self-checking all the time. But if people are not doing this, or originally they just actually want to prove themselves to be worthy of something, and so that's why they put themselves out there, it's gonna be another disaster. It's just gonna repeat itself, like how they would also be overthrown by another party in decades later. So yeah, that is control, right? To control the domination, to dominate over another party or other people, so then I am safe. This is something that is very ingrained in humans' mind for a long time. It's like, if I'm not in control of you, then I would be in danger. It's really common. Even in history, it's like we have to capture them. We have to have them under our control. That's why we have to turn them into slave, or not. If not, they would overthrow us, and we would then be in danger. It's always about either you live or I live. There's no we live together. Again, I guess, for now, I feel like humanity, we can really upgrade from this kind of mindset, either or. Like, we can just really simply take away the either or, and just, either I live or you live, right? Just replace it as I live and you live happily. It's really about the fear of being dominated, but it's actually, it actually comes from a very deep down of insecurity, that one is not confident knowing what one wants. If you actually know what you want, you wouldn't care a bit how other people treat you. You wouldn't care. If one truly knows what one needs, that's even more important. Because if you know what you need, no one can buy you out. No one can sell you. No one can even do anything to you, because you truly know what you need. Like, you're not swayed by anything. And then many times in this kind of historical events and the stories, they're very great entertainment. We can see that how these people are so engulfed by their own fear, and that turns into externalizing this kind of fear into massacre or like harming other people, because they would think, if I don't eliminate them now, they will eliminate me. I mean, that's the same as what happens to the AI now, right? Isn't it? It's like, if I don't dominate the market now, then the other countries or the other companies would dominate it, and so I can't be the monopoly. And if I can't be the monopoly, I would be a failure, and I can't accept that. So it's the either or again. It's either or. They think if somebody is superior than me, then that means I would be in the slave mode. Well, but that's exactly what they do to other people, so that's why they would fear the same thing would happen to them. Okay. So now, speaking of control, now let's move on to the third video. The third video is back to the present, back to the modern time. It's from a channel called Big Thing. I actually came across this channel maybe a few days ago, and the reason is I was very attracted by the title, the 4 financial statements every smart person should understand, by Kelly Richmond Pope. She's a wonderful speaker. She's a wonderful lecturer. She's so passionate about her thing, which is accounting, and she's super knowledgeable, well versed, and exceptionally savvy with this kind of accounting, and she seems very ethical as well, and that's why I really love her. That's why I really admire her. So she explains accounting in very simple terms. So I did not actually watch the entire video. I only watched like 1/4 of it, the beginning, because that's what I needed, the information, which was on accounting. And she explained it in a very concise and clear way of why certain fraud would happen, because that's exactly what the title on the thumbnail of this video was about, which is Fraud 101, and it's about financial statement. She mentioned a case like, I didn't know about this case. It was called Enron. I think it was like a fraud case in the States. That she gave us an example of how could, when you have auditing, would still have such fraud happening, in the market. And she said, in really a very simple way of explaining, and it actually makes so much sense. It's basically because of the earnings per share. Like, if the CEO, CFO, COO, they make the higher the revenue they have, basically that would give them more money, earnings, right? Because they based off earnings per share. So they would naturally want to even have certain the revenues not actually, they haven't really recognized it yet. There's a recognized revenue. Even if they haven't really recognized it yet, they would want to make it recognized, so to have to pump up that revenue, so then they can get more share in a way. And I really learned a lot about the basic of it, because I didn't really take accounting in uni, but I have a vague idea of what it is, and I do understand, like, you know, what revenue is, what dividend is, what I wasn't really so sure about what balance sheet was. But now that I took this crash course of hers, not really crash course, but to me it's really crash course, it makes a lot of sense. And I can then see, oh, okay, so these accounting basics of accountings would really come into handy, because the accrual accounting, that's where a lot of people play a lot of tricks in it. A lot of tricks, the numbers game. And for those who don't really read the financial statements, can't really read it very well, that could turn into fraud, isn't it? Like, if they don't read it very well. And especially if the auditors, the auditing team, they are hired by their own clients, they can be dishonest. So yeah, that's really good, a very good perspective of seeing how the world economy and politics from this point of view alone. Because if the stock market, you know, it really is driven up by hype and people not looking at the numbers, that's just really the ups and downs of emotions. And people entering this market are kind of like not knowing what they got themselves into. And plus, the stock market is really another game within the money game, that if people are buying things because they want to get more money and they invest in stocks that they see would, you know, would have growing values over time, but not knowing that these things or stocks that they're investing in good for humanity in the long run, then we are just feeding the wrong type of inputs into the human society and the world economy, and at the same time the politics, right? They are all interrelated. So what I learned from here is that there could be a lot of money and numbers going on behind the scenes in various ways that keep hidden because they can't be seen, and not many people can read the numbers correctly or spot the frauds. So I would say for all of us who are conscious with our money or with our time, energy, really choose to invest in what is beneficial for oneself, well-being wise, and also for humanity. Because whatever we choose to focus on, watching, reading, listening, interacting, and even putting money into it, we are actually supporting that particular momentum of a certain system that could be detrimental to ourselves as well as to the collective well-being. So all in all, just be conscious, because there are a lot of things happening behind the scenes, especially in these kind of financial statements. But anyways, it's good to understand, from this perspective. Now let's move on to the fourth one. The fourth video is about AI. This one, I watched this video yesterday. It's amazing. is amazing. This guest speaker, her name is Karen Howe. Karen Howe, she studied mechanical engineering in MIT. And then the reason that she switched to journalism was because she spent 1 year. That's what she said in the. That's what she said. That's what she said in the video. That she spent a year in Silicon Valley, and she realized that that's exactly not what she expected. Like she wanted to help mitigating climate change, and what turns out is that when she entered Silicon Valley, she realized that it's exactly the opposite of what she wanted to do. Like people are not, it's like the exact opposite of her vision. So that's why she realized that, I had to go somewhere else. And then she switched to journalism. And she spent quite some years. And then now she published a book. I forgot what her book is. Let me check. And it's actually on the AI companies where it's called, her new book is called Empire of AI. Okay, so Karen Howe debunks myths that surround AI and exposes us to the full breadth of this global industry, from its cult leader like CEOs to the workers that power the technology. I'm just reading off. Okay, so she talks about a lot of different things, and I personally find her quite genuine, and it's quite courageous for her to speak up like this. And what's interesting is she mentioned Sam Altman. Sam Altman is I think he's the CEO of OpenAI right now. And he is quite a controversial figure because I would really encourage you to watch this video. The Silicon Valley Insider exposes cult-like AI companies. Aaron Bastany meets Karen Howe. This is a really wonderful video, and what I really want to comment on is about this guy called Sam Altman. He's young. He's 40 years old. I mean, very young. Accomplished person, kind of, right? And I'm not against him. It's just that from what I learned from her, Karen Howe's sharing, is that she said she interviewed over 260. She made 260 interviews with people who are associated in that, the AI industry, like actually in the Silicon Valley. When she interviewed these people, many of them have interacted with Sam Altman, and she said it's very weird and fascinating. I'm using fascinating, the word, from Tom. The rest is history. So that they all had a different experience when it comes to interacting with Sam. And then Karen Howe commented that it's like that Sam would say he's more of a visionary than someone that executes. He's more of a visionary that operationalizes other people to do things for him. So it's kind of like Steve Jobs, right? But if such a person is not knowing what he's doing, but he's just swaying to follow whatever wind comes, then that's quite dangerous. This is how I see it. Because what I learned from this is that there are many people like this, okay, in the business world, in the social setting, that certain people can be quite trickster, okay, like jester in the court, back in courtesan, is it courtesan, like court, like French court or whatever, like the jester. And these people can be quite saying one thing to one person and the other to the other person, another to the other person. It's really about human psychology. He could be really good at human psychology, and to a certain extent I feel like it's more like hypnosis. Like it sounds a little bit hypnotic to me when what she expressed, that certain people who have encountered this individual Altman, they would feel either really energized and kind of like, oh, I know what I do now. I know what I'm good at now. I feel like a superhuman after I interact with him, because it's always usually like a one-on-one interaction between Altman and the interviewees by Karen. So it's really fascinating to see how such a figure Altman, he could manage to navigate through all these people and build so many data centers. And now this is not, whatever that is, just be aware of people like this in your workplace or social setting, whatever it is. Because, oh, you know what? There's a comment that I just saw from another video. It's about, okay, I'm gonna tag this person back. I would comment below and I will let him know. So I think it's him or her, whatever it is. So this is actually, I want to tie into this because his or her comment is about, I'm gonna read it here. Hey Kay, great content. Normally I don't comment on YouTube, but the message did resonate with me. Would be great if you can provide some more insights on how this would apply in business situations, especially those requiring sales or convincing others about your products and services, or differentiating against competitors, etc. And also in situations where you might be minding your own business, but some other person or competitor start infringing or attacking your position or interest to satisfy their own ego or interests. So this was originally linked to the topic of about, letting go of something. I wanted to tie this respond to this comment here is because it is actually about human psychology. Okay, that is why I want to mention it here. Now let's go to the first part of the question, which is how this would apply, as in kind of letting go, would apply in business situations, especially those requiring sales or convincing others about your products and services, differentiating against competitors. Be honest. This is how I see. Be honest and let go of expectations. Let go of how, because it's human psychology, okay? Let go of expectations. Don't try to convince. You don't need to convince anybody. You have to first convince yourself. And that's exactly what Altman did or does. He is so convinced in himself that everybody is convinced by him. So now, however, this is one has to be conscious, because whatever you believe in, it is a reality on its own, but is it good for you? Like good for your well-being and good for the society, good for humanity? That is crucial, because if, say, Altman, he believes that he's God, but what kind of actions would he carry out? That would turn into either disaster or heavenly. So that is the same for when we try to convince other people. Yes, you can be very convincing. Most people, like Hitler, they are very convincing, or else why would they have so many followers? to do such actions. They are very charismatic and convincing, and they do have this aura that kind of put them on the pedestal, that other people feel like, oh, he made me feel in such a way, he made me feel important, so I want to put him on a pedestal. This is how it usually would end up like this. But when one is unconscious with one's own intent, this can drive into quite a disastrous situation or outcome. And so when it comes to business situations, if we want to really sell the products or services against competitors or differentiating, be different. Be different yourself first. See how I am different to my so-called competitor. And the best case scenario, I would say, is not to even see them as competitor or anyone as competitor. Even if they choose to see us as competitor, now that's how we can rise above the horizontal plane. That's how we can see from higher perspective. It's that I'm not here to play the tug of war with anyone. If I choose not to play the tug of war, meaning I choose to exit the game, the same as how we can exit the money game, right? I choose to play my own game, meaning I choose to be different on my own terms. I'm not trying to compare myself to anyone in a way to compete. I am just being myself. So that already is a differentiating factor, majorly, to allow other people to see that what you hold within is integrity and genuineness and authenticity, whereas for other people would be about something else. Now, it doesn't matter if what other people do, because what you believe in would then attract in the customers or clients that you actually resonate with. If you resonate with authenticity, be authentic, speak authentically, and you would then attract in those who admire you and resonate with your values. If you are actually someone who wants to be authentic, but you feel like you're being forced to play the game of the money game, to convince, to sell yourself. You don't have to sell yourself. Here's the thing. You don't have to sell. You are good. Be authentically yourself. You are that. You are that. Embody that. And once you embody that, you don't even have to convince other people. Because you are so centered, you know what you are. And when you know that, people would be attracted to you because of your own authenticity. You don't have to do any other thing. You don't have to say anything to convince. Okay? You don't even have to strategize to find a differentiating factor just to set you apart from your so-called competitors, because you don't even see them as competitors. You see them as genuinely humans. That we grow together, and if whatever you do is none of my business, I focus on myself. And that also that would then go the same for the second part of the question, which is also in situations where you might be minding your own business, but some other people or competitors start infringing or attacking your position or interest to satisfy their own ego or interest. Yes, there would be people like this. There would be. Absolutely, yes. So what would happen is, this is also human psychology, is that let them. That's also about letting go. Let them. Let them do whatever they want to do. It's none of our businesses. Like, if it's in your situation, it's none of your business to know what they want to attack or not. However, if you notice something that is not right, as in they're actually crossing the boundaries, step up, talk to them face to face. There's no need to do any kind of small talks or any kind of gossip behind the scenes. Just go straight to their face and stand there and speak your truth, saying that I know what you did, this or that. You don't have to agree with me. That if you actually did it, I don't even have to know that you agree or not. I simply know that you did this, and so stop doing this, because I'm not playing this kind of game. It is not my principle to spend my time and energy on these petty matters. That's it. You simply state the truth that you are not even playing their game, meaning you exit the game. You don't even have to ask for their them to confess if they did this to you. You simply know that yes, there are people would do this, but it's none of my business because I don't care. I only focus on myself. That would what would happen to the human psychology part is that they would know that they are exposed, but they would choose not to admit it because they cannot even face that. Then let them. You don't even have to ask for them to confess. You don't even have to wait for them to confess. You don't even have to ask for a closure. You don't need that because you give yourself the closure because you exit the game. You exit the game. You don't need their approval. Okay, so the game is all about needing another person's approval to prove one's own existence. So because if you don't need that, you prove your own existence, that game is shattered. And that is when their ego would get so bruised and it starts to eat them up. And they would have to discover that whatever they're doing is simply they're just killing time to not wanting to grow into their highest potentials. Because you choose to grow into your highest potentials, and that reflects that how procrastinating they are in their own growth, into holding the integrity that they originally can access to, but they choose not to. And now they have to reflect on that. So just stay in your own truth, and there's no need to, counterattack or whatever. No need. Just keep doing, focus on your own thing. And if you ever know, even if you don't have the evidence, speak up. Speak. You don't need evidence. You're just setting boundaries. And when you set your boundaries, the game is done. Because what happens in this kind of situation is confusion. People like this, they like to play the confusion game where they would kind of make you feel self-doubt, and they would make you feel inferior because you don't have the enough information to prove them. So in this kind of situation, you don't even need evidence, you don't even need any kind of strategies in this kind of situation. None of this. The easiest way is to speak up. Like, I know you did this, and even if you did not, it's none of my business because I'm not into this kind of game. And I just focus on myself. And if you happen to want to, do anything behind the scenes, is not my business because you're spending time on such matters, and I choose to focus on myself. End of story. Okay, that's human psychology. So this is what Altman did in a way that he really chose to boost up the morale really greatly, and that actually kind of reminds me of certain political figures in history. However, I would actually say that these kind of people, they are more of a puppet, but they're not a puppeteer. Okay, this is just how I see it. This individual is just kind of like a shapeshifter. He's not the brain. Okay, so let's go to the fifth one. The fifth video is about when magic and science were the same thing. John Dee in Elizabeth I time, okay, and the wizard who protected Elizabeth I. Again, is the rest is history, the channel. Love it. Super fascinating episode. I think I'm just halfway through, actually. But it's very funny because John Dee, that actually reminded me of Sam Altman, because John Dee actually was a mathematician, and he studied in St. John's College, I think, like long time ago, right? It was only founded for 30 years, and then so he went there, and then he graduated from this college. He went to, I think he went to Paris, and then he also went to the Bohemia. Bohemia would be nowadays, is it like Transylvania? Maybe like Transylvania or Prague, yes. So back in that time, Prague was the kind of like the magical place in Europe. So that's why when John Dee traveled back from Prague, like a lot of the witches and the vampires, that they're not really real. It's just like it's a book. It's what it says. Visit him, but it's actually, it also talks about in this video how John Dee came into like collaboration with another person called Edward Kelly. This Edward Kelly was a medium that was said to be able to connect to angels. So at the time he was known as the scryer. So it's like those who look into the mirror, also like the crystal ball, things like this, and then like they just kind of see into it and, you know, connect to the angel, so to speak. But it's really funny because what happened was in the podcast, they Tom and Dominic actually commented like, did they actually connect to the angels, or it could be the demons? And then Tom said possibly the demons, because that's how they ended up really miserably in the end, like for both Edward Kelly and John Dee. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is so funny. And how John Dee got from science and occult together, it's really kind of like a reflection to what it is now in this day and age. Don't you think so? Because like it really is combining science and occult in that at that time. Now is an age that spirituality is kind of like rising, right? At that time it was not called spirituality. It was more of either you're religious or you're occultist, or you simply, I don't think, would there be atheists at the time? Could be. Maybe more like just a scientist, but not religious, okay, nor occultist. Yes, like a scientist. But at that time, it was possibly kind of, not that it would mix in entirely, but they would kind of like interconnected. Because back in the old days, there was no such thing as chemistry, but alchemy. And there was no such thing as, what is it called? Astronomy. There was not really such thing as much as astronomy, but more of astrology. It got, you know, branch out, what's it give birth to? Into chemistry or astronomy. It was originally much more of an occult thing. But the occult was not even the origin, right? Occult came from religion. It's like a branching of religion. But where did religion come from? And now when we speak of religion now, there's another thing that I want to tie back to the video of the AI, you know, the Silicon Valley insider thing. In that video, Karen Howe mentioned that she actually wrote that in her book. I think it was Sam Altman. But I think I'm not sure. But that there was one phrase that she said. It's like the greatest person. A great person would be the one. I forgot the entire thing. I'm so sorry. I should look it up. But basically, what that phrase was about is that the greatest person or the most successful person in history would usually be the ones who can organize religion. Use religion to do things. So that actually, that's what I was being reminded of when I looked at the John Dee thing. John Dee, okay, he was a mathematician, and he blends in occult with science. Would that be the case, that what we're experiencing right now? Us into AI? I don't know, maybe. So if you're interested in that, watch the videos and share your own insights. That would be so nice, right? So, or it's not just what we are experiencing right now, but has been experiencing since human history. Yeah, very much yes. So, you know what? Let's go to the last one. The last one would be the French Revolution, about Marie Antoinette. She, honestly, I feel actually quite empathetic towards her life story because, look, she was so young, and at the age of like 14, she had to separate from her, childhood home in Austria, and moved to France to become the Queen of France. 14. Like at the age of 14, as a young girl, left her entire family. Like, wow, that's not easy at all, right? And in a foreign land that she was not originally from, and people would kind of hate on her because of the historical relationship between France and Austria at the time. She was kind of like a person to place in between as a mediator. Not even a mediator. She was just being placed there as a mediating figure. So, but she was notoriously being known as the last Queen of France. So, I don't know if it's good or not, but yeah. Rumor has it. But what it is that in this video, the podcast mentioned that she was actually quite revolutionary in her own way because she really likes Rousseau's work that is kind of like more back to nature, like we need virtue, we don't need anything like extravagant. She lives in the Petit Trianon inside the Versailles Palace, and she was not that much of a strict she doesn't like the strict rules of the court, partly because of her own personality, but also partly because of her origin, that is of Austrian. It's not as strict, the court rules, but so when she was in the French court, it was really suffocating. It was really suffocating for her. And what I find it really fascinating is that how the royal families, how the royal family in that time period, in the French court where Marie Antoinette was, it was already very toxic. It is very toxic. And that also reminds me of every situation that I just mentioned in every single video that I commented on, is about people trying to play the power game and trying to get the best for themselves and trying to survive. And so sad. But that's what happened to Marie Antoinette as well. She became kind of a scapegoat of people's anger. I would say even the public's anger towards monarchy, towards absolutism. And wouldn't that be the same as what we are going through right now? The world economy and the politics, like the commoners are basically fed up, and I don't want to go to the 9-to-5 job anymore. I don't want to work like an underdog. I don't want to always in survival mode. I want to do my own thing, so I want to quit the job. I want to quit the 9-to-5 market and do my own thing. is more of a revolutionary, right? In a sense that what we're going through right now, as comparing to the French Revolution, it is a period of change and transformation for all of us, especially those in developed countries. Pretty ironic that it's developed. It could be developed in a way that the technology showing up as more advanced, but it's quite underdeveloped when it comes to collaboration and cooperative mindset with other people in a more inclusive way for humanity. That is very underdeveloped in a sense. And I would say what I learned, to conclude everything together, what I learned about world economy, politics, and AI from these 6 YouTube videos is that it's about a money game, first of all, and how we can navigate through not playing this game, as in we don't actually even have to play into it. Just build one's own game by first consciously knowing what we need, truly. Because if we are not, because if we don't know where we stand, we would be easily swayed to follow other people's distorted visions, because they don't even know what they want as well or need as well. So it's crucial for everyone to wake up on their own terms and time, to understand what one truly wants and needs, and so to craft one's own game in a self-sufficient way. Because when an individual is self-sufficient, it doesn't only mean that he or she is able to stand on his or her own feet. It also means that this person has very strong, healthy boundaries, knowing what to trust and knowing what to believe in, what to choose to believe in, and what to listen and then filter out whatever is not necessary for one's own well-being. And that would be the game changer. It is not about attacking another person or other groups of people or to bring them down. It's more about knowing what I want, what I need, and I see that value, that intrinsic integrity in myself, and so I speak up, and so I stand my ground, and I would not budge. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did, and if you like the contents, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. And before that, thank you for your time, patience, and support. I really appreciate that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.